Hello to all of my peeps. It's so good to see you here today. From my chair, episode 108. 108 of these, I know. I have someone to show you today. I'm so excited. When I went on my trip to Papua New Guinea, I know, don't laugh at me, but I took all of my plants, all of my friends, all of my plants to my mom. And so that my mom could babysit them, plant sit them for me. And I'm so thankful for it. And I'm so pleased. I'm so excited. I've got to show you G-Bug. And there's a couple of succulents in there that Mom planted for me. But I mean, this is G-Bug. This is the little teeny tiny one. And she potted it for me. And it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. I'm so proud of it. And now I tell you every time, maybe I won't kill it. So thank you, Mother, for taking care of all my plants. And I'll show them to you. They all grew and they're beautiful. Oh my goodness, I almost left them there with her. But I figured you'd be sad if I did that, so I brought them home. After spending 5 episodes discussing our missions trip to Papua New Guinea, we need to transition to the next topic. So let's talk about relationships. Life is relationships. Have you ever read Romans 12:18? It says this: if it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. Okay, that's fine, that's great. But have you ever asked yourself, how in the world can I do that? And if you think that one is difficult, try this one. 1 Corinthians 9:22, the last part. I have made all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. Yeah. That's difficult. That's pretty difficult too, being made all things to all men and to live peaceably with all men. I look at that and I'm like, seriously, Paul, how? How were you made all things to all men? How did you live peaceably with all men? We began in episode 80 on October 20 of 2021 discussing personality boxes and understanding the science of people. Then, after episode 91 premiered on February 2nd of 2022, the Holy Spirit wanted me to push pause on this particular topic and discuss some other things. So then, from episode 92 to 107, we discussed some other things. I'm so excited today to be able to push the play button once again on the topic of personality boxes and relationships. Lord willing, I've got some life-changing things to hand to you, to hand to us, to study in the coming weeks and the coming months. So just keep hanging with me. Now, several of my peeps have asked me to take some time and review the 9 personality boxes because we've been paused from it for so long. So that's what I'm gonna do. Again, several of them have said, I want you to go back. Please go back and take a few episodes to go back and review those and keep them fresh in our mind before you tackle new material. So that's what I'm gonna do in the next couple of weeks. I'm gonna go back and I think it'll take 3 weeks and review these things so that we can be refreshed on that. It was funny. Me and my mom and my sis went swimming the other day. We had a great time. We went swimming the other day, and sis, she was already in the pool. Sister was like, it feels so good in here. Mom and I came out, and it feels so good in here. Her word was, it's perfect. It's perfect in here. My nephews and my handsome fella, they were running and jumping in. But me and Mama, we decided that we needed to get in one step at a time, gently, slowly, to get used to the chill of the water, and that worked. That worked perfectly. One step at a time, and then we, enjoying it and stuff, and until all of the splashes from the cannonballs from all of the cousins, kapoom, kapoom, yeah, then water is everywhere. So let's carefully, I'll say that illustration to let you kind of in on this. Let's carefully step into this topic again and review it to get us all on the same page before I introduce some new material, minus the cannonballs. No cannonballs. Let me start off by reminding you of my very real struggle. I am a perfectionist. I enjoy order. I enjoy seriousness. I like rules and I abide by them fiercely. But they need to make sense. The rules need to make sense. They need to be fair. I love truth. One of the qualities that I love about my inner circle peeps is veracity. But here's the problem. And this is where I think that many women, and not just women but men too, they're in relationships to how they handle people and relationships. They struggle. Women struggle. Men struggle in this too. I find myself getting frustrated. Watch, that everyone else did not see the world like I saw the world. They didn't see it like I saw it. They did not fit into my box. Watch, and I could not make them. It became very frustrating. It became very frustrating, and it became very difficult to live in the truth of Romans chapter 12, verse 18, to live peaceably, and 1 Corinthians 9:22, to be all things to all men. I got frustrated more than anything. I was introduced to a concept many years ago that has totally transformed how I view myself and how I view relationships. It was several years ago. My sister gave me two books, The Road Back to You by Ian Cron and Suzanne Stabile, and The Path Between Us by Suzanne Stabile. They've been instrumental in this journey. I've been referencing them for several years now, and in these lessons I've been referencing them as I deal with people and as I deal with relationships, and I need to give them the credit that they deserve. Something that has helped me so much in my relationships is coming to grips with the fact that not everyone sees things like Tabitha Edge sees things. And not everybody sees things exactly the way that you see them either. Not everyone handles things like I do. We can have, someone will be laughing. It's funny, I've got so many illustrations going through my head. We can be laughing about something and I won't think it's funny. I'll just look and I'll be like, what are you laughing at? Because it's hard for me to think things are funny. Not everybody handles things like I do. Not everyone responds to any given situation like I do, and that's okay. I had to come to grips with that. I had to come to grips with the fact that it was okay that so-and-so did not see this situation like I saw it. That my peep over here did not handle this certain situation like I would handle it. I had to get to the point where that was okay. So I posed the questions. How can we understand the people in our lives better? How can I be what you need for me to be when we aren't anything alike? Did you know that even though we're not alike, we can still coexist? I can still love you. You can still love me. We can still have an amazing relationship, an amazing friendship together. Yeah, that can happen. I want to understand those people in my lives better. You don't fit in my box, so does that mean that we're doomed to have a garbage relationship? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Just because you don't fit into my box and how I think and how I respond does not mean that we just have to have a garbage relationship. We can't do this. No, that's not how I think. You may have many peeps, or you may have just a few peeps. You may have a large family or a small family, a lot of church members or a handful of church members, or somewhere in between. The point is, it doesn't matter how many, it matters who. It matters who. Because every person in your scope of influence is different. They're all different. In fact, I dare say that you have very few relationships where you both think alike, where you both communicate alike, where you both receive information alike. I dare say you probably have one and maybe none in your purview, in your scope of influence, where everybody thinks like you do, somebody thinks like you do, they respond like you do, they communicate like you do. So then are we just doomed to not be able to get along with people? Well, no, I don't believe that at all. I believe that we can live peaceably with all men. I do believe that we can love each other as Christ loved us. I do believe that. And I want to be able to understand these personalities so that I can be who I need to be for you, and so that you can be who you need to be for me. Visual illustration, I love this. Most of your relationships are very different, kind of like blue, green, and red. They're very different personalities, totally separate, totally different. But even when you have that relationship where they are like you, kind of like this palette of red here, you do have different choices and different hues of red. Look at all those choices of red. All of it's red, but they're just different hues of red. So even if you have somebody in your life that kind of thinks like you do and communicates like you do, have the same interests, you still have areas where you don't see eye to eye. Your hue of communication, your hue of red is just a little bit different. So even when we find someone who does fit in our box of communication and personality, there's still going to be a hue of difference. Relationships consume so much of our time and life here on this earth. Yet we don't spend a lot of time learning how to handle those people in our lives. Or may I say it this way? More times than not, we don't know how to respond to the personalities that are different than ours. If you're not like me, I don't know how to handle you. I don't know how to communicate with you. I don't know how to interact with you and minister to you because you're not like me. But if you think about it, relationships, it consumes so much of our lives every single day, but yet we don't spend a whole lot of time learning those relationships, learning those people within our relationships. And I want us to. I want us to spend some time not just learning me, but also learning those people in your realm of influence. And you know what? It's okay that those people are not like you. It's okay that they're not like you. So what ends up happening is this. Your personality is different than mine. Your mode of communication is different than mine. We just don't fit. We just don't work well together. So what ends up happening is there's a misunderstanding. You've had that before, I'm sure. And it's usually over something simple, isn't it? Something silly. Oh, I really cannot believe we fussed about that. But you'll do it because the personalities are different, so the communication is different. But how about this one? Hurt feelings. Hurt feelings. How about a wounded spirit? The Bible says a wounded spirit who can bear. You have a wounded spirit, and it's all because of relationships and communication, and you're not like me, and I'm not like you. Well, okay, you're just going to hurt my feelings. How about the silent treatment? You ever gone through that before? Oh my goodness. The silent treatment. Oh, you didn't hear it like I wanted you to hear it, so I'm just not going to talk to you anymore. Okay, I know it's kind of like teenagers, but as adults we do the same exact thing. We just put a different label on it. How about angry words? We can say some pretty angry words sometimes, can't we? Belittling tones. I'm real big about tones in words and verbiage. We can belittle people with our tones just so quickly, because you're not different. You're different than I am. Your personality is different. How about a failure to understand what is trying to be communicated? I can't understand. I don't know what you're talking about. Especially those boxes, and we'll talk about them, that don't really get into the emotional part of things, and they've got this wall up. No, don't cry, no tears. And then you get to somebody that wants to, oh my goodness, yeah, you're not. That's a failure to communicate, to understand what is trying to be communicated. But guess what? You can still have an amazing, flourishing relationship with those two types of people. How about emotional breakdowns or ruffled feathers? How about ugly emojis? Yes, in the texting realm, ugly emojis. There's some ugly emojis, aren't there, girls? There's some ugly emojis. And then sadly, of course, the death of a relationship. All because you don't see it like I see it. All because you can't communicate like I communicate. So boom, we are done. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Let me just say this. It was a great day in my life when I understood my specific method of communication, my specific personality. Because once I understood me and my box, three things happened. Number one, I could love me for who God made me. You say, what all this is going to do? Well, I'm going to tell you in the weeks to follow. But when I understood me and my box, I could love me for who God made me. Number two, I could love you for who God made you. That's the hard thing. I think sometimes, oh, I am who I am, and we're going to talk about that. But it's like you get your feathers get ruffled because they're not like you. But when I learned all of these things, I could love you for who God made you. And three, I could stop being so frustrated that you're not like me. Yeah. There was a moment in time where I stopped being frustrated. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at it. I'm not at all. But there was a moment, I can remember it, when I stopped being frustrated that everybody else in the world didn't see the world like I saw the world. And the ultimate goal is that of being, I can live in the truth of Romans 12:18 and 1 Corinthians 9:22. I could live peaceably with you and be exactly what you need for me to be. Now, am I perfect at it? No, I'm not. I'm still growing. I'm still learning. But if we never start somewhere, we'll never get to the place of learning and living in the truth of Romans 12:18 and 1 Corinthians 9:22. We discussed a very important question that we each must ask ourselves very honestly and very candidly. Why do I do the things that I do? If you can wrap your mind around that question, that's going to help us assess where you are, what number box you are, or what box you fit in. Why do I do the things I do? You see, everyone has a need. Everyone has a need. And then the journey to discovering that need is often very revealing and it's very painful because it's like peeling off layers of an onion to get to the core of who we are and why we do what we do. When I started learning all this several years ago and discovering all this and why I am the way I am, I took the book and I threw it across the room. I'm like, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to read this. I don't like this. I don't like this about me. I don't like the way I am at all. But I picked the book back up and started reconciling with some things and understanding this is the way God made me, but now I need to live in healthier spaces within my perfection box. Let me begin by reviewing the 9 personality boxes. It's going to take me to a couple of weeks to review them properly. Okay. Again, we're stepping into the pool, not cannonball. We'll get to the cannonball a little bit, but I want to review it properly so that when we get to the new material, you won't be behind. You'll be right up to speed, right where we need to be. So that my desire is that you are honest in your assessment of you. I want you to be honest in your assessment of you. And for some boxes, some number boxes, I'm just telling you, that's going to be really difficult. It's going to be really difficult. But I want you to do, I want you to see the good, the bad, and the ugly of all, of you and of who you are. All 3, because each of these boxes has all 3. And let's be reminded that the goal is growth. The goal is growth. It's not excuses. I know. Some of you guys say, oh, goody, I'm glad that everybody else knows how I am because this is who I am. Somebody just can deal with it, sister. Just deal with it. This is who I am. That's not the goal. The goal is not excuses. The goal is growth. It's growth. The more I study people and relationships, the more I see that it takes each of you, each of us learning and growing to have a healthy, thriving, and fulfilling relationship. A refusal to grow is a step towards mediocrity. I don't want to have a stale relationship. I don't want to have a mediocre relationship. And if I refuse to grow like everybody else around my table, oh, I'm going to try to learn this, and I'm going to learn myself, I'm going to learn you, I'm going to learn to communicate with you. If I refuse to, then that's a step towards mediocrity. My goal in this isn't so that we can make a bunch of excuses in our relationships. No, I want us to grow. I want us to be as healthy as possible within our personality and within our personality box. Let's open up a box. Our time is almost done, and I'm trying to keep these at a certain time so that they're not too lengthy. But our time is almost done. I've got time for one box. One box. So let's review it for a moment. Let's start where we started back on November 11th. Let's start there. This is called Box 8. I know. If you follow me all the way, you know why I'm starting with Box 8, but I've got to start there. The Challenger Box, or I call it the Bull Destroyed the Box. Again, every week, with every number, I'm going to review these things. I'm going to be quick about it. I'm not going to discuss a whole bunch of stuff about it. Hopefully, Lord willing, I won't go on my little rabbit trails and things. But I'm going to give you the same things every week for every single box. So what's it like to live inside of Box 8? The Bull Destroyed the Box, the Challenger Box. They're too blunt and they're too aggressive. They're very easy to get into a verbal skirmish. They want it. They want a verbal skirmish. They love it. They thrive off of it. They make very fast decisions. It's not ready, aim, fire. It's fire, aim, ready. Remember that one? Yes. They make very fast decisions without thinking about everything and the scope of everything. They welcome opposition. It's like, it's like a football player on the line. Come on, bring it. Here we go. Just say hike and I'm going. They welcome opposition. They have no problem saying no. They're okay with saying no. They don't beat around the bush, and they don't like it when you beat around the bush. I know. That's an 8 box. But they are very quick to confront a bully. They don't like bullies. They like justice. They like fairness. They don't like it when the scales are tipped in one direction or the other. They will confront a bully head on, and they don't like that at all. They sniff out weaknesses. So if you're all weak and timid and shy, an 8 box will sniff it out. That's kind of what it's like to live in an 8 box. Their talk style is commanding. It's imperative. You will go here, do this. I'm not doing that. I will do this. You must do this. It's commanding. It's imperative. It's exclamation points. Everything they do is exclamation points in the 8 box. Their primary struggle, this is a tough one, is lust. But it's not the lust that that you're thinking of. It's a lust for intensity. It's a lust for overabundance of anything and everything. I want it all. And they don't want just, 1 cup of ice cream. They want the whole half a gallon of ice cream all at the same time. It's a lust for intensity and for overabundance. That's why they are. That's why it's like the bull in the china shop. No joke. The bull destroyed the box. That's how they are. It's a lust for intensity. And then, if they don't get what they want and the fulfillment that they want, their go-to emotion is anger. But not just plain old anger, it's external anger. They show it outwardly. They're the hotheads and the hot tempers, 8 boxes. That's their go-to emotion. Bottom line, they just don't want to be controlled. I'm just telling you. I hate it. I do. I'm not an 8. I know some 8 peeps. They don't want to be controlled. It needs to be their idea. Go do this, go do that. No. It needs to be their idea to get it done. They just don't want to be controlled. We discussed with 8 boxes and their path to growth. For every box we did a path to growth. And which 8 boxes, you don't like these paths to growth. So I'm just telling you. Growth, you don't. I'm just telling you, you don't like this. They hated it. They didn't want to do it. I know, I felt it. And but let's talk about it anyway. First of all, you needed to understand that you're not always right. Oh, that's hard. I know, I'm sorry. I have to do this for every one of them. It's not just you. I'm not just picking on you, 8 boxes. I'm going to do this for every one of them. You're not always right. I need you to drop your guard. You don't always have to have a guard up with relationships and people. It's okay to drop that guard and love and be loved. Moderation. You've got, it's a very biblical concept. You've got to tackle everything, handle everything in moderation. Again, the cup of ice cream, not the gallon of ice cream. It doesn't have to be all at once. You can handle things and enjoy things in moderation. And not every problem requires action and strength. Sometimes it requires silence, quietness, patience. You're not good at that. I know that. But it's a path to growth, and we talked about that. Not every problem needs action and strength. We said, follow gracefully. You don't like to follow. I know that. You like to lead. But in those times when you have to follow gracefully. Again, it's a path to growth. Not everyone enjoys stress. Can I raise my hand up really high? I don't enjoy stress. You enjoy stress. Understand in your path to growth that not everyone enjoys stress. And you know what? You cannot guarantee the outcomes of anything. I know you want to. I know you like to, but you don't, and you cannot guarantee those outcomes. And then we said to respect how others see the world. It's not only you. It's not just you in this big old world. Shh, calm down. There's other people in your office. There's other people in your house. There's other people in your school. There's other people that you work with. There's other people at the table. Respect how they see the world. Again, life is about relationships. Let's learn how to handle those well. What do they need to hear? You don't like this, but it's something so biblical. It comes from 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse number 10. For when I am weak, then am I strong. You need to hear that, 8 boxes. Again, life is relationships, so let's learn how to handle them well and be what God wants us to be in each of them. Next week, Lord willing, we're going to jump in cannonball style. This week, we just ease on into the water, get us back into the topic. Next week, cannonball style, we're going to do several more because we don't have to start at the very beginning. My goal is box 9, box 1, box 2, and possibly box 3. So Lord willing, we'll get into those things. So please join me next week as we review these things. Don't forget, Lydia at 11 in her journey to remain cancer-free. Now go be amazing today.